Alright, this is the second part of the video wherein I talk about how I used to motivate myself. If you have not seen part 1, I had basically given out 4 tips and this is a continuation of the same. So let's get into the video. Being in a way creative is another way that I could maintain the consistency and just focus for long hours. See, studying is not just opening the book, reading line after line, then closing the book, solving as many MCQs as you can, and then just being like, okay, I'm done with this chapter, I can move on to the next one. If this was my approach to studying, then I would have given up way long ago. See, studying is a process where you should feel good and comfortable. And that's why sometimes having this kind of phenotypic change to myself would get me the motivation to study. If you make efforts to feel good about yourself and if you carry yourself well, sometimes that's just the best and the quickest way to get yourself to study. And I know this kind of sounds really dumb, but what I used to do was I would like wear a cool outfit or I would put on lipstick or something. So just kind of like putting an outward look to myself would bring that internal desire to study. And I know that kind of sounds out of the blue and it doesn't make any sense. And that's kind of the reasons which I was like at the beginning that I'm not the best person to tell you how you can motivate yourself. But if you're in any way like me, hyper and wanting to make studying fun and someone who gets bored really fast, then just try these weird ways. Just do something different, do something quirky, do something funny, clumsy, and that happiness can kind of fill the void and make you want to study. So that's another thing that I used to do. One aspect of my personality is that I kind of get bored really fast. So what that means is I can only maintain my concentration on a particular activity if it strikes out as exciting for me. And that means that naturally I would get this motivation to study for long hours if the topic was interesting or appealing for me. But some topics were just very, very boring. And I would try and make it interesting by linking it to something I like or browsing for fun parts of that chapter. But to be honest, not all chapters are going to be fun, especially when you think of the NCERT on the whole. I really did not like evolution or thermal physics. Evolution, remembering the dates and remembering all of those scientists and whatnot about it, the ages, the evolution of man, was just not appealing for me. I tried a lot to kind of remember the concepts and memorize them because there was really nothing else I could do, but it just would not work for me. I was not motivated or drilled to master that concept. Now, what I suggest and what I did at that time was, because I did not have all the day to study evolution, I had other things to do as well. I would try and incorporate some of the things I liked into it. So I would put on study music or I would walk around the house again, and changing my location would sometimes help me to study. But again, evolution was one chapter which I tried so many times but I just didn't like it. So I would put on this 5-minute timer and just try and understand everything in that time as much as I could. After that timer was done, enough of that. I would finish and go to something else. So I would maybe do something I liked more. Because I liked genetics more than evolution, much more than evolution, I would dedicate more time to genetics than to evolution. So what I'm saying is, sometimes there are these topics which you don't like or you just are not good at, however much hard work you put into it. Because you have limited time in your preparation, don't waste your time on it. At most, in the NEET exam, 2 questions can come from it, and going wrong in those 2 questions is better than going wrong in the questions which you could have done well in if you had just given more amount of time for the chapters you liked. And that's not really the best tip to motivate yourself, but it's just a trick to move on to some things because you have limited time as a NEET aspirant. Sometimes just changing your mindset will bring in that internal desire to study. So for me, having that constant reminder of fear that I'm not the only one who's preparing for NEET. There are like 21 lakh other aspirants who are probably doing so much more than me, giving in so much more quality study time that they could just snatch away my government medical seat. So just that constant notion would kind of drive me to do my duty as a NEET aspirant. What I'm trying to get at is change your mindset. Having that notion, fear, is sometimes good for you. And if it doesn't really get into you and it doesn't prevent you from studying, then why not change your mindset? I totally agree that the outside weather and the scenario that you're placed in all do play a role in how much you really want to study, even if you have a lot to study. For me, I hated the rainy days because it would make me feel gloomy and kind of make me feel too sleepy to even open my book and study. But no matter how much I complained about it, the weather would not change, would it? Or if you don't like cold weather, if you feel stuffy and frustrated in hot weather, the weather is not going to change. So instead of wasting your time thinking about the things you can't change, just change your mindset. Changing your mindset really does help. And it's easy for me to say, you might say. But no, for me, even though I really did love studying, and even if I really did want to do well in the NEET exam, not all days would be the best, even if I wanted it to be. Sometimes I just had to accept it and move on. But overall, just those notions and that mindset is what allowed me to continue. What I'm trying to get at is motivation, at least for me, was not just always thinking about the end goal. Of course, I've always wanted to get into the MBBS line, but if I was just thinking of wanting to score the best in the NEET exam, that was not always going to get me through, because all these minor obstacles that would come in the way cannot be solved if I just think of this big goal of mine. I had to have these minor rewards which I would give myself, and that would somehow drive me to go further. So if I was able to accomplish that small thing, of course it's going to be leading to my end goal. But overall, I was able to take minor steps towards my big goal because I had motivation of the small things. In a nutshell, don't always be motivated by that one goal of yours. Have minor things which ultimately lead to that end goal, but in a way are small goals of their own. And that sounds very philosophical, and I don't really think it has much meaning to it, but it sounds really clear in my head. So yes, that's it. Alright, so these were all the techniques that I wanted to present to you when it comes to motivation. I don't really know how helpful this video will be because it's not really a generalization. I'm not really dictating you ways on how to motivate yourself because I don't really think I'm in a position to do that. But I gave more of a personalized side when it comes to motivation. So if you have any observations or any views regarding this video or anything in general, please do let me know down in the comments below. And I think that's it. Yes, bye.